It's space weather. We're looking at a giant plasma filament on the southeastern limb of the sun. This is currently still there. The last frame of the animation is indeed this thing still standing up. It's probably about 8 Earths in diameter. Good view of the small CME coming out of the sunspot there too. You can see that coming down like this. Here it goes. All right. Also a giant plasma filament on the northwestern limb. Check that one out. And we are going to get into the weeds and talk about grand solar minimum effects. First, look at the magnetic lines real quick. You can see a connection to this northern coronal hole area. I think there is still a sunspot, but that's neither here nor there. We've had big shifts in the solar data. Before we do that, let's take a look at some other stuff here. theplanetstoday.com. Great website. It will show you the location of most of the objects in the solar system. There you go. You can advance this if you like. You can see there is a Venus opposition going on right now. Don't freak out about it. There will be a great Mars out, by the way, if you like checking that out. All right, let's look at the real-time solar wind data, which there's a missing chunk. Come on, Brave browser. You can do it. There we go. So, the BTBZ is a little on the high side, but pretty basic. Phi angle has been all over the place. Looks like we're still looking at that northern coronal hole. Not sure what the wind density is. It looks like it's about 3. And the solar wind speed has finally dropped, so we're out of the coronal hole wind stream now. Look at the rest of the space weather data at spaceweathernews.com. X-ray flux still flatlined at a base range. And all right, it looks like ACE has got the data. As we can see, the solar wind speed dropping down. Phi angle still appears to be the magnetic connection with the north coronal hole. Magnetometer has a slight spike in it there, so keep an eye on that one. KP has been to 0, from 0 to 2 throughout today, October 17th. We're back up to 2 now, and we are going to talk about cosmic rays, our favorite cosmic ray sources, provide links to cosmic ray websites, explain what cosmic rays are, and talk about human health effects. Electron flux, fairly smooth. Some minor external charging hazards there. Everything is fairly safe in space. Auroras are weak, as we would expect with a slow solar wind. Now, let's talk about cosmic rays. So, first of all, we know that cosmic ray flux increases at the same time solar activity decreases. The magnetosphere gets weaker, and hence less cosmic rays get deflected. So, The smallest amount of cosmic ray flux we've had in the last few years has been in this area. And the highest we've ever measured is in this area, where you are right now. As the solar minimum continues, cosmic ray flux will continue. So let's talk about one of our favorite cosmic ray sources, Cygnus X3, which at the opposite end of the precessional cycle is the celestial North Pole, by the way. Here's a site which monitors Cygnus X3's activity on a near constant basis. Now, keep in mind, this is a supermassive X-ray binary. It's also the largest, it's the brightest star visible with the naked eye. It's about 100 times the solar diameter, the diameter of our sun, and it's about 1,000 times more active in terms of its solar wind. Also, it is being orbited by some giant object, which we'll just say a massive radio source. And its period is only 4.8 hours, which means a giant microquasar is orbiting this Wolf-Rayet star, vacuuming out the plasma. And one of the poles is aimed right at the Earth, where that becomes the North Celestial Pole in about 11,000 years. Anyway, here's a site that monitors it. It's our favorite cosmic ray source. Take one moment to explain effects on human health and why we show the KP index every day. So our KP index ranges from 0 to 9. This is a measure of the global geomagnetism. And when you have a low KP index, you have a very high cosmic ray fluence. When you have a high KP index, you're in a geomagnetic storm because of the sun. But also keep in mind the sun does spit out cosmic rays. And the weaker the KP index is, the lower the number, the more cosmic rays come from the sun and from the rest of the galaxy due to the tendency for the magnetosphere to deflect cosmic rays. When the KP is at 0 or 1, which is not where you want it to be typically, you are at a higher risk for heart attacks, strokes, arrhythmia, anxiety, stress, instability, cosmic dysfunction, diminution, an uptick in things like traffic accidents and work injuries, higher suicide risk, higher chance of mental disorder flare-ups, and especially when flying on planes, a much higher airline radiation risk. I do have a friend who is a pilot, and he has reduced his hours because he is concerned about his cosmic ray exposure. Now, when you have geomagnetic storms, when you're at a KP of, say, 7, 8, or 9, you're also at risk because of extreme fluctuations in magnetism caused by the influence of the solar wind and so on. You're looking at things like heart rate fluctuations, like arrhythmia, again, heart attacks, strokes of all kinds, blood pressure increase, migraine, seizure, anxiety, stress, suicide risk, and once again, radiation risk. The safe zone of a KP index is like 2 to 4. That's where you want it to be. Also, solar flares, coronal mass ejections. Those also cause things like flare-ups and migraines, digestive disorders, skin conditions, visual impairment, reaction time loss. So, yeah, that's why we look at the KP index every day. And here ends today's space weather brief. Close things out by looking at the sun in 304 angstroms. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share the videos on your social media. And remember, on your way to dodging cosmic rays, don't drink. And if you drink, don't try to dodge cosmic rays, because you can't.